Hey there! My name is Zoe, and for this Unity Quickie, we're going to talk about an easy way to access files in your code that isn't reliant on dragging them in the inspector or anything like that. This will work for sprites, images, prefabbed game objects, and just about anything else that you might want to use. The project I'm going to show you this in is super simple. We have one game object with an audio source and a sprite renderer, okay? And then we've written a script called resources tutorial. You can call it whatever, it doesn't matter. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to pass the values in this resources folder, which we have an image here to the sprite renderer, and then in the subfolder we have this sound called beatbox. Now, the most important thing to remember is that any files that you want to be able to access programmatically through this method are in a resources folder. So capital R, lowercase rest of the word, call it resources. This is going to be a relative path reference to anything in the resources folder. So if we go into the code here and see how that works, we're declaring a reference to a sprite renderer and an audio source, and then we're using getComponent to set those up. And then on the update, we have a getKeyDown to do a playAudio method and then a showSprite method. If you look here in the showSprite method, we're going to start with that. We have the sprite.sprite, so just whatever image is set to it. We're going to call a class called resources, and then a static method called load, and then tell it that we're loading a sprite. Load needs to take whatever type it is that you're loading into it, kind of like how getComponent has within the little pointy braces sprite renderer or audio source. We want to give it a type for what it is that we're passing in here. So sprite.sprite is going to take a sprite, as you can probably tell, and then the argument that we tell it is going to be the path to this. So you see how I'm saying Z here? That's because if we go into the resources folder, the image is called Z, and that's just in the root. So just Z will access it. If we go up here to the playAudio method, however, we're going to do audio.playOneShot. So if you're not familiar, that's the method that's just going to play the file once. And then we do resources load and then audio clip for the type, and then we tell it sounds/beatbox. Now, one thing that's really important to note is that there's no file types here. So like, even though beatbox is a .wav file, we're not going to tell it beatbox.wav. We're just going to give it the name. Same thing you can see here for Z. That's a PNG, but we're not going to tell it the file type. So what happens when you use resources.load is it'll grab those. So the audio is playing, and the sprite's loading. And that's it. Resources.load with the type followed by a relative path to whatever the file name is without the file type in your resources folder is going to pull that, and you can do that for basically any type that you would add in there. This is an alternative to, for example, having a serialized field where you need to drag it in the editor. There's a lot of different applications. I'm making a card game right now, and we're pulling the sprites for cards based on simple character keys that are basically strings that represent what each card is. It's just another tool for your kit. So I hope that helped, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.